Thank you all for joining us this morning for another United Partners for Human Services workshop. My name is Justin Fitzpatrick, and I serve as the Membership and Communications Manager here at UPHS. And we are so excited to have a wonderful training being presented to us by our Director of Strategic Initiatives, Lashawn Gordon. Managing with a Heart will discuss establishing a positive culture, taking time to care, and how a strengths based management approach allows us to provide accountability while seeking excellence and expecting the best from people. So, we are more than happy and excited to have Miss LaShawn Gordon here with us today, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome on this chilly Thursday morning, what I like to call Friday Eve. I'm super excited to have you all join us this morning. One of my most favorite things to do is to train and to teach people how to manage and how to encourage the heart. And so I am super passionate about this. If you're trying to follow on the slides, majority of it will be on the slides, but a lot of this is just in my head and my heart. And so if you're like, where is that? Just know that it's in me. And so today we're going to talk about managing with the heart. And if you've spent any time around me, you hear me often say that this is heart work. And I'm a very firm believer in that. And so I think we can manage, we can meet outcomes, we can do all the things and still do it with a strength-based approach. So as Jay is flipping to the next slide, if you'll go into your reactions and hit that raise your hand emoji for me if you're currently managing people or have managed people before. All right, all right, all right. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Awesome, awesome. So we have lots of leaders on this training today. So I want to start with you are what you say you do, not what you say you do. So I'm going to say that again. You are what you do, not what you say you do. So one of the reasons why I wanted to start with that is because managing with the heart is all about modeling, right? So we can't say that we're strength based and all of these great things and we're not modeling that. So you are what you say you do, not what you are what you do, not what you say you do. So one of the first things is what's your why? One of the reasons why I wanted to start managing people is because I wanted to impact the decisions being made for the organization and the culture of the organization, period. That's what it was for me. So it wasn't about, oh, I want to have some power or I want to, be able to, have authority over people. It was because I wanted to impact the culture, be a part of the decisions, and help with the culture of the organization. So, one of the other things we'll talk a lot about is you serving with your whole heart. So, you can't be halfway in and halfway out. People know when you're not passionate about what you're doing. And from a leadership perspective, if you're not excited and enthusiastic about the work, trust me, your team is going to know when your heart is not in it. Leadership isn't sexy. So when you're a leader, you're always, that work is always with you. Sometimes you're making tough decisions. Sometimes you're making decisions people don't understand. And so you have to know and understand that leadership isn't sexy. Nobody walks around saying, ooh, woo, I am so excited to manage all these people and deal with all these issues and make sure we meet all these outcomes. It is so sexy. It's not. And then remember that the team is watching you. So those are just a couple things I wanted to just throw out there, and we're going to dive into those a little bit more. All right. So people don't respect you because of what you do. They respect you because they know you care. So people aren't a respecter of persons. And that's one of the things that we really, really need to understand. Doesn't mean that, hey, okay, I understand you're in the role and I know we have to, follow what it is that you're outlining for us to do. But just know that people don't respect you because of what you do. They respect you because they know you care. And I spent a lot of time working with teams and doing culture work. And there are a lot of resentful people sitting in nonprofit agencies because they simply feel like their managers don't care. So be mindful of that. So nothing is beneath you when you're serving. When I supervise interns, I used to always tell them, hey, in order to be a leader, nothing is beneath you. Sometimes you may have to answer the phone. Sometimes you may have to run to the back and take a delivery. Sometimes it may be a toilet that, the plumber can't get there right away. Nothing is beneath you when you're serving. And never ever allow your ego to get to the place where, oh well, that's not a manager duty. No, we're all working together and we are setting the example. Meet people where they are. We have to be flexible with this. It doesn't mean that we have to jeopardize the fidelity of the model that the agency that we're working with, but we do have to meet people where they are, right? And a good part, a big part of being a manager is sometimes making sure we get people on the right seat on the bus in order to know whether or not they belong on the bus. Did we catch that? Don't miss that. Don't come with a judgmental spirit because we all often sit in judgment sometimes, and we have to be mindful of that. As long as we keep living, life is going to keep lifing. Will we agree? And so we want to make sure that we're not coming with a judgmental spirit. And then also keep it real. Keep it real, right? Don't be so deep. A lot of times we are so deep in the workplace. Don't be so deep. We need to be able to keep it real. When we're raggedy and things are not where they're supposed to be, we need to keep it real and be able to say that. So remember, your title does not matter when you serve. All right. So, in creating a positive culture, it's important to respect and honor each employee. So if you all could put in the chat for me, give me one thing that you've done this year to honor your employees. And we'll just put those in the chat real quick. And if you having to dig deep, then we need to have a conversation after this training. I'm just saying. All right. Bonus, putting their mental health first. I like. Extra days off, specific thank yous. Okay. Birthdays, lunch treats. Okay. All right. Y'all keep them coming. All right. Daily affirmations, random thank yous. Okay. Okay. So as you all are continuing to put those in there, I love those. Let me just say to you, sometimes as leaders, one of the things that we forget to do is to say thank you. Because when we get busy, sometimes we're just running, and we're doing the work. We forget to say thank you. Sometimes a simple thank you goes a long way. When we're grinding, we're trying to serve clients, we're trying to meet outcomes, we're doing all the things. Make sure you say thank you. Because whether we like public praise or private praise, we all want to hear the words thank you sometime. Do we agree? All right. So encourage a culture of collaboration and innovation. Remember, leadership happens at all levels. This one is a big one for me. As I've grown, I've learned that I don't have to be a part of every project. I don't have to sit on every committee. I am real comfortable with passing the opportunity for someone else to lead onto them. I'm very comfortable with that because leadership does happen at all levels. And a lot of times, people will stay at organizations if they feel like you're growing and stretching them and developing them as a leader. When you meet with people and you ask them, well, do you have any leadership experience? How will they have leadership experience if you never allow them to be innovative and creative with anything, right? If they don't get it just right, it's all good because it's a teachable moment. It's a teachable moment, but we have to allow collaboration and innovation. And I'll tell you, most of the time we can achieve so much more when we're working together. I like to work with teams. I like to work with teams. I like to glean from other people. So don't get so focused on the agency's goals and outcomes that you lose sight of the well-being of the team. This is a big one. This is a big one because I'm a 200 percenter. And so I had to learn that 99% was okay. I'm just kidding. 99% is not always obtainable either, but 90% is. But this is a big one because a lot of times we are pressing, pressing, pressing. We have to get it done. We have to get it done. And probably about 75% of the people working in human service agencies are experiencing burnout right now. Any thoughts about that? And a lot of that has to do with us being so focused on the outcome that we lose sight of the well-being of the team. When I managed a lot of people, I used to like to do check-in meetings, and it was a simple thing. How are you doing? What do you need to do a good job? And is there anything that we can do better? And in those three questions, sometimes you get yes, yes, nothing. But a lot of times people are just waiting for you to ask them how they're doing so they can tell you, oh my gosh, this is going on. This is going on. I need time off. I need this. I need that. But we have to make sure that we're focused on the well being of the team. And another thing is also making sure that we encourage people to take time off. So many times people are sitting on hundreds and hundreds of hours of leave time, and you ask them, well, what's the reason? Well, I can't take off. If I take off, this is probably going to happen. Well, that's going to come up. No, 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 no. We need to encourage people to take off and take care of themselves. And we need to take care of ourselves because at the end of the day, if the agency is going to close because we take a couple of days off or a week off or 2 weeks of vacation, then ultimately we're not a good leader, right? Because leadership is attached to legacy, and we should be instilling things in people and training and cultivating synergy amongst the team so that even when we take off, things continue to flow and encouraging other people to do the same thing. Another word that I want you all to just kind of bullet is cross training, because a lot of times we don't do that well either. So we have one person locked in. You have to be here to do payroll. You have to be here to do this. And then again, we lose sight of the well being of the team. Couple people saying burnout happens when we're busy but not feeling productive. Agreed. And then Krista says, truly take off and disconnect. Absolutely. All right, we're moving. Next slide. All right, so how to manage with the heart. It's important to respect and honor each employee. So staff need to be provided with knowledge and support to do their job. Again, one of the questions I always like to ask people is, do you have what you need to do a good job? We can't expect people to come into a space and just boom, I got it. I'm doing my job 100%. I'm just on point. It just doesn't work that way. So we have to make sure we're providing people with the tools to do a good job. And for some of us, we haven't looked at job descriptions in years, right? We haven't looked at the org chart. We haven't made sure that as our agencies are continuing to evolve, we have things and positions structured in a way that people can be successful. So a manager's job is to help people to succeed. Point blank, period, right? I used to always say when I supervise managers, we have to supervise every day. Don't miss that. Because a lot of times we're laissez-faire in the way that we manage. And when we do that, we're not helping people to succeed because we're so laid back. And then when things happen, well, I had no idea that that for the last 2 months he or she wasn't doing that. Were you supervising them, right? Because if you're supervising them, we're helping them to succeed. So communication needs to be open, honest, truthful, and tactful. So I'm a big proponent of fierce conversations. And when I say fierce, that's not a bad word. That's just direct, honest conversations. And as a manager, you have to be able to have those conversations. If you're passive aggressive, you are going to struggle as a manager. And the team is going to know that about you. So you want to make sure that you have open, honest, tactful, and truthful conversations. Have an open door policy. People should be able to meet with you on a consistent basis. People should be able to give you feedback. One of the things that you don't want to put off is that your job and position is so much more important than everybody else's. It doesn't mean that you don't have a lot of responsibility, but everybody on the team has a role to play. And so we want to make sure that we're open and people feel welcome to come and give us feedback or, advocate for themselves or let us know what they need. Take staff feedback seriously. Ensure that you have a method to gather feedback in a way that makes staff feel less safe. This can be a suggestion box. This could be a once a year anonymous survey. Whatever that is, make sure you take staff feedback seriously. A lot of times when we go in to do surveys with agency, the employees bam the leader. They say all kind of stuff. And then people say, "Oh my God, I didn't even know they felt that way. This is insane." And then I ask, "Well, what's your mechanism for feedback?" Well, we really don't have one. So you want to always be getting the feedback from the team because people get a chance to say what it is that they need to say, and they're not sitting around harboring things that they need to get off their chest. So provide your team with the tools they need to do a good job. Allow time for team building activities. In the chat, give me some of the team building activities that you all are doing. Some of you all I'm working very closely with. So in the chat, give me some of the team building activities that you've done with your team. So as you all are typing, I can tell you here at UPHS, we did the escape room and woo, yeah, that was an experience. Yeah, that was an experience. Team building activities. What are some of the things you all have done? Put those in the chat. Okay. FSU res, yep, escape room, yeah. Escape room with your team as a whole, yeah. Yeah. So let me just say this while you all are typing those. If you don't have team building activities planned in, you should. And I know a lot of times we're like, well, wait a minute, we don't necessarily have a budget for staff. What about this? What about that? There are low cost things that you all can do. Getting to know you games, I mean, culture work. Dollar Tree has just about everything you can think of now, right? So for $10, you can go in there and pick up some things, M&M game, all types of creative things. But you want to make sure that you're doing team building with your team because it's the only way that everybody's able to build relationships and be vulnerable around each other. And I can work better with a team when we have some type of connectedness. When everybody's just moving in a million and one different directions, it's very hard to be connected, which means it's going to be disjointed when we're serving our clients. So be accommodating to staff when it's needed. It doesn't mean that we're going to let staff just run amok and do what they need to do. But hey, if somebody has a child sick or something is going on and we can possibly allow them to work from home one day, let's be a little open to doing that. That really is okay because we all need accommodation sometime. Uh, Make sure all team members are human. Everybody makes mistakes. That's one of the things that we need to know. If you're perfect, raise your hand. I better not see no hand go up. But we all make mistakes. And then encourage an energetic workspace. So these are things that can be creative things that can be done. Hey, everybody, we're wearing pink in October for breast cancer awareness. You know what? The holidays is coming up. We're wearing ugly sweaters. What are some fun things that you can do? Hey, somebody, we got 5 birthdays in the month of January. So we're making birthday hats out of cardstock, whatever the case may be. You want to make sure that you bring energy to the workspace. Because when you don't, you know what it feels like? Want, 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 want. That's what it feels like. We just going through the motions every day. So you want to make sure that we encourage an energetic workspace. All right, we're rolling. All right. So personalizing your approach, being open to team feedback from team members, create a space for sharing ideas and opinions. I don't know how your staff meetings are structured, but you definitely want to make sure that you have a space where people can share ideas and opinions. This may not be a traditional staff meeting. This may be, hey, once a month, we're taking 15 minutes at the end of the day for people to share. Or if you're managing managers, I see a bunch of executive directors. This may be something that you task your middle managers with doing. Hey, in your individual team meetings, make sure that you are allowing people to share ideas. And then at some point, we need to come back and share them with the whole team. I'm a big proponent of having a culture committee within the organization because this is a team of people who can always be coming up with creative ideas to enhance the culture of the organization. So make sure you check in with all team members periodically. You should meet with the entire team at least once a year. This is for my executive directors and my senior level directors. Once a year, you should at least once a year, you should be having some type of interface with all members of the team because you need to have a relationship with everybody. Doesn't mean they're going to meet with you and see you every day because your role is a little different, but you should have a rapport and relationship with everybody who works for the organization. I have been in some spaces and hey, one of my things is let me see the org chart. And as I'm sitting with the executive director, people are saying, well, yeah, I've never really talked to them before. That's problematic. We should meet with the entire team at least once a year. So learn something about each team member. What are their hobbies? What are their likes? One of the things that when people start at UPHS, we always have them fill out an information sheet. And what it is what are your likes, your favorite colors, your scents, that type of thing. So as we're planning team building exercises and for holidays and stuff like that, we know a little something about each person. Figure out how each person likes to be celebrated. Everybody doesn't like to be celebrated the same way. I don't want to just go out and buy everybody on the team a Starbucks gift card when 8 of the people on the team don't like coffee, right? So we want to make sure we know how people like to be celebrated. Be open to share something about yourself. It doesn't have to be deeply emotional, just something that people can remember about you. It will show people that you're human. Okay, Krista likes FSU. Okay, that's cool. Okay, yes, Miss Desiree is really into this. Okay, I know that about her. Brandy said, who doesn't like coffee? You'll be surprised. So be proficient so that you can fill in for the team when needed. It means a lot when you can take something off of people's plate. So here's the thing: you don't have to know how to do everybody's job to the letter, but you want to be proficient enough that if you need to fill in, you can do that, right? If I have to step in and answer the phones because we have 4 people out, I need to at least be able to give people some general information. Or if I need to meet with somebody, I can meet with them, take their information, and wait for a referral specialist to call them back. You don't want to be so out of touch as a manager that if somebody's not there, well, we just can't see people today. It doesn't work that way. The mission and the work of the agency has to continue. Any thoughts about any of that? Because I know that was like 2 mouthfuls. All right, we roll. All right, so take time to develop staff. So we want to identify opportunities for staff to attend trainings and community events, allow them the opportunity to present the content to other team members. I love this. I love sending people to trainings and workshops and conferences and then coming back and saying, hey, for the staff meeting, if you can just prepare 3 to 5 minutes just to share the content with the rest of the team, that will be awesome. Because what it says to people is we are investing in you, we're providing this opportunity, and we're so excited for you to share and showcase your leadership skills with the rest of the team. And for sometimes for people, all people want is an opportunity, right? I want an opportunity to be developed. I want an opportunity to interact with other people. That is super important. We don't want to just, you know what, you just stay in the building every day, 8 to 5. Only thing you leave for is lunch. We don't want that. We want people to be able to go out and attend community events and other opportunities. And also, it helps with saturating the community with the organization, right? Oh, we were at that meeting today and somebody from Capital Area Community Action was there. Yep, we had somebody from Elder Care, because that's how people remember you. People will often forget us if they never see us and we're never participating in anything. Super important. So each staff should have a development plan. Justin is my direct report, and he will tell you monthly we have conversations about what do you want to do next. Do you want to get on a board? What about this? You should go to this training. You should do this. Every staff person should have a development plan. I used to tell people I am okay with supervising me out the door. Meaning I want to give you everything that I can give you if you're my direct report, because I'm not attached or assigned to any place forever. So I want to make sure I give you the tools to be a leader, and vice versa. You're not attached or assigned to a place forever. So we all should have development plans and goals that we're working on. And that should be something that we're reviewing with our team on a monthly basis. So if you'll go to your reactions again and raise your hand if your team members have development plans. And this is a safe space. So if you don't worry about it. I'm just saying, but raise your hand if your team has development plans. Okay. All right. We got some people. And for those of you who team members don't, feel free to reach out to me. Let's talk about that, because we want to make sure that we are developing our team members and cultivating levels and cultivating leaders. All right. So we want to provide opportunities for growth. Employees are more likely to stay if they feel like they're being challenged and stretched. So if you're like me, I sometimes get bored really quick. And so I'm one of those people who have to be challenged and stretched on a consistent basis. I know that about myself. And you want to make sure that you're challenging and stretching the team members in your organization. Sometimes we have those individuals and we know they can do more. And in our head as leaders, we're thinking it, but we sit on it. Opposed to saying, you know what, let me figure out within the structure that we have, how can I challenge and stretch this individual a little bit? And be a fan of teachable moments. I love teachable moments. Remember, I said everybody makes mistakes. And if it's not a situation where we're going to lose funding or something major is going to happen, it is okay for us to have teachable moments. So that didn't necessarily go as planned, or we need to do that better, but let's sit down and talk about how we can do it differently the next time. Be a fan of that, because ultimately, before we were leaders, we had to learn and grow. So don't ever lose sight of that. So coaching and modeling is important. If somebody asks me my leadership style, I always say it has a lot of coaching and modeling, because I love to get behind people, coach them through the situation, and then model for them, hey, this is how we handle this, or let me show you this. And then next time, I want you to take the lead on this. And from there, after a couple times of me kind of coaching you through it, you should have it. We want to make sure that we're coaching. It's important. It's not enough to tell a person to do something. Sometimes you have to show them. And a lot of times as leaders, I find that people really can't show people. We have all these expectations, but we really can't show people what it means to do a thing. And that's not okay. We should be coaching and modeling for people. Be dripping with passion. If you're not excited about the work, the team won't be excited. So hear me and hear me say, this doesn't mean we want to be walking around patty perfect and we're just, Pollyannas and everything is wonderful. No, but we should be excited about the work we're doing. And when we're not excited about it, we have to make those tough decisions. Is this something that we should be doing? Because if we're not excited about it, our team is going to pick up on that. You should be a cheerleader for every staff member, right? We want to make sure that we're focusing on strengths. And again, everybody should have something that they're strong at. So we want to make sure that we're a cheerleader and we're rooting and we're pushing each staff member. So be innovative. The same approach will not work for every staff member. So I love trying to figure out what make people tick and how do I reach this person and what about that person. You want to make sure you're innovative because every approach does not work for every person. So how do you supervise them? That is one of those things that as leaders we're tasked with figuring out. And I say that because some people, you can send an email, they got it, fine, I don't need to meet with you. But for other people, you may need to sit knee to knee and have a one-on-one conversation. And that is perfectly okay because it's your job. I tell people we don't have to hide behind email all the time. It is okay to have personal touch and contact with people. So the same approach will not work for every staff member. Super, super important. Any thoughts about that? All right, we're moving. Next slide, Jay. All right, so managing change well. So change is constant in human services. Be prepared for it. If everybody just type amen in the chat. Change is constant in human services. Be prepared for it. Do we agree? Right? Things are always changing in human services, and so we have to be prepared for it. A lot of times when change happens, we just let it send us in a tailspin. And we can't do that because we have to anticipate. This is human services. Change is going to happen. A funder may require something different. We may lose a couple staff members. That may not be working anymore. We may have to move office space. Change is going to happen. It's all about how you manage the change because it will happen. Be okay with having to retool once changes are made. That's one of the things about human service. People who work in human service and nonprofits, we are resilient and creative, right? Because we have to be quick on our feet. And so we have to be okay with having to retool. Don't dig your heels in so deep that, oh, something came up and I don't want to do it that way. And why do we have to do this? Nope. We still have clients that we have to serve. So we have to retool and we have to keep moving. Point blank, period. So when you can make sure you involve the team in the process of change, make sure you involve the team in the process of change. Sometimes this is possible and sometimes it's not. When it is, try to make sure that it happens. This is super important, super, super important. Because here's what we do. We get an email saying that a policy is going to change in 6 months. And opposed to giving the team a heads up, we sit on it. And so then we wait 30 days before it happened, and we wonder why everybody has an attitude. When change happens, involve the team in the process. Hey guys, we're having a special meeting. Just letting you know in January, this is going to change. That way, we don't catch people off guard. And when people are caught off guard, that's when people start bucking. And that's when people have an attitude and we get a lot of resistance and we end up with a very messy situation when we don't have to. It's okay to just give people a heads up. Hey guys, I don't know all the details, but I'm just gonna let you know what I'm hearing is coming. And at least a month before we get ready to roll this out, we'll get together and we'll talk about how we'll handle change as an agency. Ensure that you are available to explain changes to staff. Don't just push down changes without expectations. This is a big one for me. I've never liked to hide behind the big boss or the agency or headquarters. They're making us do it. I don't like that. I like to sit with people and say, hey, I want to talk to you about the changes and let's kind of talk this through. Don't just push that stuff down onto people without expectations, because the reality of the situation is the team is working directly with the clients, the members, those that are funders on the phone. They're working directly with those individuals. So when we just push down changes without expectations, we're not managing change well. And you also have to be able to check your feelings about change, because a lot of times what happens is we don't agree with the change. Well, I'm just not going to say nothing. I'm going to just let the chips fall where they lay. That's not that's not modeling good leadership. Super super important. Any thoughts about that? Yep, make sure you explain the why you can, and be open and transparent about what's going on. Super important. Even sometimes with some of these decisions, people are sitting around wondering, well, am I going to have a job because they said this is going on, or this funding, or this is a situation. Don't do that to people. Be open and transparent and honest with people. You'll have a much better culture. So take time to care, be visible, don't stay closed in your office. You've heard me talk about that earlier. You may hear it again because I'm big on that. Be visible, right? That's the office nobody goes to. We don't want that. We need to make sure that we're visible. Ensure the team feels empowered to prioritize taking care of themselves and their families. So at the end of the day, when we leave and when we drive off in our cars, we all have our families. And so the team should be empowered to prioritize taking care of themselves and their families. If people have children, their children are going to be sick, right? Even with us, we're going to be sick sometime, or things are going to happen, things are going to come up. People need to be empowered to prioritize taking care of themselves and their families. When you look at the physical domain, right? If the physical domain is not in check, nothing else falls in place. So we have to make sure that people are well so that they can do a good job every day. Super important. Encourage vacations and days off. So one of the things I used to do with a larger team was I used to go around with a clipboard and a calendar. And if you hadn't taken some time off, hey, let's talk about this. Let me know what days you plan to take off so we can get a time off request put in. People need to be encouraged to take off. I was one of those people. First 10 years that I worked professionally, I didn't take a vacation. Well, we got a couple days for Christmas, we got a couple days. And then when somebody sat me down and told me how much money I was losing because I was maxed out on vacation time, it was an aha moment for me. Oh, I will not keep leaving money on the table. And so you want to encourage people to take time off. Don't be punitive. I'm going to add to that. Don't be punitive and petty, because a lot of times we use our power as a weapon, and we don't want to do that. We don't need to be punitive. Doesn't mean we may not need to write a corrective action plan or give somebody a feedback, but don't be punitive. Let's not do that. Have fun. It's okay to play sometime. Again, I like to have fun at work. I do not like workspaces where everybody is looking like they're miserable. It will not work for me. It's okay to have fun at work sometime. Make sure that you have team values. These are kind of like guiding principles for the team. As a team, who are we? What do we stand for? These are culture activities that you can do with your team. Pay attention. People like to know that you see them. So a lot of times people are doing extra things and we never acknowledge that. She's been doing that for years. Pay attention. People like to know that you see them. Miss Jones, I appreciate you. You come in early every day. You get the coffee going. You warm up the space for everybody. We really appreciate you. People like to know that you see them. It's okay to slide somebody a note and say, hey, oh, girl, you had those case notes in 3 days in advance. I really appreciate that. People want to know that you see them. And you don't have to wait to a scheduled meeting to recognize someone. When good things happen, give immediate praise. This can be in person or via email or text or text. But when good things happen, give immediate praise. I am that person. Don't tell me 3 months later that what I did in August was good, because I've already moved on. I move quick, I move fast. So I like to give immediate praise, and I like to receive immediate praise. So most people do. So when people do good things, recognize them for it. It is okay to say, hey, kudos, girl, you did that. That was amazing. Sir, I see you, because I assure you that it's going to help people to keep going. We never know in this cycle of lifing what people are dealing with. So sometimes it's the little things. You know what? That just brightened my day. I'm ready to keep going now. So make sure you recognize people. Next slide, Jay. All right. So set clear standard, be consistent, set clear standards. Nobody likes when people are not consistent. Krista says a sticky note. I love that. You are appreciated. I see you. Simple things like that can be put on office doors. It can be slid under doors. Absolutely. But be consistent and set clear standards. Remember, do what you say and say what you mean. Super, super important. We have to be consistent. I'm sure we've all had work situations where you're like, wait a minute, we just had a meeting on Monday and they said one thing, and now it's Thursday and they're saying something else. Raise your hand if things like that drive you crazy. Let me raise mine high, right? Consistency, super, super important. Use ethical communication. Is it kind? Is it fair? And is it necessary? Here's my thing with ethical communication with team members. As managers, don't allow people to make you a dumping ground. Yes, we want to hear their feedback and their concerns, but we want to coach them and empower them to speak to their colleagues. And I've always had a 24-hour rule. If you come to me and you tell me you and Ivy had a conflict, then my expectation is going to be that you have a conversation with Ivy, because I can't fix your relationship with Ivy. Only you can do that. And the way we keep a healthy culture is we have ethical communication and we communicate with each other. Super important. Most of our teams are not just, monstrous where we got these large teams. We work in close quarters. So I can't be working with you to serve clients and I'm rolling my eyes in my head every time I see you. That does not work. So we want to make sure we use ethical communication. Don't make irrational decisions that are crisis driven. This is a big one. A lot of times we are on the crisis wheel. We're on that hamster wheel. Oh my God. With this, we don't have this came up, that came up. Okay, we're just gonna do this. We need to learn how to sit in the pause for a moment. Sometimes we just gotta pause and slow that thing down, because we don't want to make irrational decisions that are crisis driven. Because when we look back, you know what we're gonna say? Now, why did we make that decision? I don't even know why we did that. So you want to slow down, because sometimes you have to undo things when you make irrational decisions, opposed to slowing down and, you know what, let's make the decision that's best for the agency and the team. So consistency allows for accountability. When you're not consistent, it's very hard to hold people accountable. If things are always changing, it's hard to hold you accountable. And consistency in leadership makes the team feel valued. So here's the thing, we're all different, right? We have different personalities, but as leaders, we should all be on the same page with how we manage and how we cultivate a healthy culture with the team, right? So we don't want this situation where we got 4 managers where only 3 of them really care about us. This person, they do their own thing. We want consistency in leadership. Every month, everybody gets a one-on-one with their manager. Everybody has performance evaluations. This is the process if you have a grievance. This is what happened in this instance. Consistency. It is what makes the team feel valued. When it's no consistency and everything is spiraling, it will not make the team feel valued. Any thoughts about that? All right, next slide. So, couple things to remember. So, managing is a learned skill. It's a learned skill. It is one of those things that I have been studying for a very, very long time. And if you see my library at home and in my office, there's a lot of books about leadership because I'm constantly retooling. So a lot of times what happens is we're on a job for a period of time. And of course, we're ready for more responsibility. Yes, I'm going to apply for that supervisory role, that leadership position. But remember, it's a learned skill that we have to work at. And so you have to constantly cultivate any skill, right? If you're a football player, you have to keep practicing. If you're a basketball player, you have to keep practicing. So you have to make sure that you're sharpening the tools in your kit because it takes time to learn how to be a good manager. First time managers who are going from peer to manager, they're my favorite group of people to work with because they have a lot of stuff to figure out. You have to be cultivated as a leader. So teamwork occurs where there's an element of trust. That's the only way the team can be healthy, when there's an element of trust. When it's not, the team is typically in disarray. Because if I don't trust you, nope, I can't. No, I'm not gonna hand this client off to you. Yep. It would be nice if we could work together, but since we don't, I'm just gonna do my own thing. We have issues like that happening every day because we don't trust each other. So the most effective training method is role modeling. You heard me talk about that before. Let me model for you what seeking excellence look like. Let me give you an example of how to do this. And then you can take it and put your own twist on it. Once you got it, you got it. But let me role model for you what that looks like. So people learn what they see and hear what they feel. People learn what they see, hear, and feel, right? People learn what they see and what they hear and what they feel. So remember, we talked about this being heart work, it's attached to the heart. So we want to make sure what we're putting off into the agency is positive. When it's not a good day for you as a leader, sometimes it is okay to stay home. Because why bring all that into the agency? Because people are seeing it and you're modeling that, even if I'm in a bad mood, I'm just going to come to work anyway. Whoever feel it, they feel it. And I've heard managers say that. And it's not okay because people learn from what they see. And other managers develop those bad habits. Accountability does not have to be punitive. You heard me talk about that before. I have terminated people and they have came up to hug me and say thank you. Because it really is all about how you handle the situation. And I've had instances where people needed to move on and they just didn't know how to move on. So let's talk through this from a very strength based approach and let's move forward. So accountability doesn't have to be punitive. If I'm not doing a good job, I want to know that I'm not doing a good job so that I can work on that. Don't have me walking around here thinking that I'm getting 4 and 5s on evaluation and I'm doing average work. No, hold me accountable because it doesn't have to be punitive at all. All right. So I wanted to leave a little time for question and answers. Like I said, a lot of this I have, just cultivated over the years, and some of you all I've worked very closely with your teams. But any thoughts, questions, or comments or anything? And I'm reading some of these comments in the chat, and I agree. Good positive comments. But any questions, thoughts, or anything? I see Miss Nancy has her hand raised.
Yeah, could you talk just a couple of minutes more about the difficulty and pitfalls of doing a staff evaluation that's not very good? When you really like the person, you have them there because you you hired them, you chose them to be there, and they really are not doing a very good job. That is so hard.
So, I'm glad you mentioned that. We just finished writing a strategic plan for our agency and started talking about staff evaluations. So here is what I believe with evaluations and kind of what I've been taught through some advanced leadership training. I like midpoint evaluations because I like to, midway in the year, I like to sit with people and be able to, look at the competencies of their job and let them know whether or not they're at average, above average, or below average. And so when you do things like that, even for employees who have a heart for the work, when you get to the end of the year and you have to evaluate them, it doesn't catch them off by surprise. Because in our one-on-one supervisions, I've been telling you this is an area of growth. We have a plan. We know we need to work on this. We did a 6 month, we did the midway just to check in to see where you are with your goals and your development goals. And now we're at the end of the year and there's still no growth. So in this area, you may get a below average. When you do things like that as a leader, you have showed I've done every single thing I can do to support and cultivate you. This may just not be the role for you, but you have to do the work as a manager. You have to document and say to people when they're not meeting expectations in a certain area.
Okay, thanks. It's kind of like a, a midterm report from the teacher for your kids saying these are things they need to work on now before grades
Absolutely.
come out.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
makes
Supervision
complete
is
sense.
work. It is
Right.
not you have to supervise people every day and you have to put those things in place to hold people accountable because ultimately we want the best outcomes so that we can keep serving our clients well.
Okay, thanks.
So Amanda says, how do you think volunteers change leadership tactics, especially in change management? Or do they? There's a lot more ability to just leave if they disagree with the decision. So that's a good one. So I've worked with a lot of volunteers and a lot of interns over the years, and I train volunteers the same way I train staff, right? Same thing with interns. If staff gets a full 2 weeks of training, interns do as well. And I've had to dismiss interns and volunteers before. So you can definitely hold volunteers and interns accountable. Don't bring them in with the mindset, well, that's just a volunteer, that's just an intern. Bring them in with the mindset, we are so glad you're here and are a part of this team. And for the 3 days that you're here a week, your role is super important. Here's the volunteer job description for that role. We're going to make sure you sign it and you understand it. So by all means, please hold your volunteers accountable. And then if they don't work, it's okay to say, wow, we appreciate you. Next semester is probably going to be better for you to seek out another placement. Perfectly okay to do that. Any other questions? All right. Well, we're going to give you 4 minutes of your time back. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. Again, Justin just put my contact information on the screen. A lot of you all I've worked closely with. For those that I haven't, reach out. I love this stuff. This is stuff that I enjoy because I've learned that the agency is only as strong as its team. Point blank, period. Only as strong as its team. And once we learn that, we can continue to do great things and ultimately increase funding and grow our agencies and continue to make a footprint in this community. So thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us today.
We thank you all again for joining us for this morning's workshop session, again with United Partners for Human Services. We thank you, Lashawn, for sharing your subject matter expertise on managing with the heart. We want to wish you all a happy holiday season and safe travels if you are traveling outside of the Tallahassee or Big Bend area to visit family and friends throughout this holiday season. So happy holidays to each and every one of you on this call today and to each of every one of our membership organizations within the UPHS family. We will see you all in 2025.